Okay, we're good. Regina, you were supposed to ask me, was I recording? You know, I cut it off at the top. So,
Sorry, I forgot.
I always, when I hop on, I always turn it off, but that's okay because we're right at the top. So I'm going to start as if we're recording. So when you guys come in for the very first time, you're going to go to the tax returns. You're going to click on this button to start a new return, and then you will begin by entering in the Social Security number. Okay. The system is going to ask you to key in the Social Security number 2 times to validate that you are keying in the same number both times. And again, I gave you guys the option of going directly to the tax forms, or you can go straight to the interview. If you're new to the software, if you are not like a wizard at knowing all the actual numbers for the forms that you need to use, I strongly encourage all of you to go to the interview process the first couple of times until you familiarize yourself or until you are comfortable with not doing the interview. So let's click on interview, and it tells you right off the bat that I transposed. No. Oh, this one is already in the system because we were playing with it. So I'm going to do 1-1 in 1-1. Okay. So it's going to ask me, is this individual single, married, etc. I know the filing status of this individual because they have already completed the client tax organizer. They've already uploaded everything to Onboardable. So all of you guys should have, well, that's not true. All of you guys, my team, you guys received a link to Onboardable. So my team is the only one that will have access to the different forms that the clients will be sending in. And to my team only, you all will get an email, and it will have all of the information in here for the client. It'll have their client tax organizer, their engagement sheet. It'll have everything. So to my staff, you guys, you see your name is already in here. You guys should have gotten the email to activate this. Did you guys get emails? Just put a 1 in the chat. Did you get yours, Dale? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. So you guys are ready to go. We'll go through a separate training on this to my team. Okay, but to our partners, again, I was sharing with you guys, I shared this on one of the trainings that we did, Onboardable, but you do need some way to manage your information that the clients need to upload. So in this case, let's just go back. We know that we have this person's client tax organizer. He's told us, and I'm going to give you a scenario. He told us, he checked the box, married, and then he put a note in there, not sure if I want to do married filing separately or if I should go married filing jointly. How would you guys address that? And it's so many of us on the call. So I'm going to say, you need to, if he put something like that on his paperwork, you need to question him and say, well, are you married? You need to ask the questions. How long were you and your spouse together? If one moved out, when did one move out? You need to determine whether or not he is eligible for filing married filing separately. Because the law, because he simply put that on his organizer, I would say, well, Ren, we need to file this as a married filing jointly. What's your wife going to do? You know, I'd ask the questions. Okay. So in this case, he's single though. So we're going to check single. I'm not giving him any discounts. So I'm going to move to next. And then I'm going to put in his personal information that I've already collected from the client tax organizer. This is a gentleman, a man, so I'm going to check, you know, what his name is, or Mr. And I've already put this information in, so I'm going to just, this is last name. Okay, so I put his social security number in, It's asking me for his date of birth. This is where number one, you would go back to the organizer, or if he is in your office, and for us, no one's going to be in my office because everyone is virtual. But if they were, I would ask for their identification, and that would be one of the first pieces of information that I would ask for. I would ask for driver's license, and I would ask for social security cards for taxpayers as well as the dependents, okay? Whomever they have on their return as a dependent, is your responsibility to make sure, and this is not a social security, but you want to make sure that you cross-reference the information that they may have written down to the social security card. Sometimes people transpose numbers. Sometimes there are individuals that may use surnames like, you know, Montgomery White or White Montgomery, whatever the case may be. And you will find that in a lot of cultures that a lot of people use hyphenated names. So that could kick a return out if I actually go by Montgomery White, but my social security card only has Montgomery on there. So if I put on the tax return Montgomery White, but my social security card only has Montgomery, is going to reject. So that is another reason why you request to see the social security card. And even when they're filling out documentation, especially for the children, you all, you know, you definitely want to ask, because you will encounter that the dependents don't necessarily have the same last name as the taxpayer and the spouse, you know, and sometimes some systems automatically default. So if my last name is White, the system may automatically default to White for my dependents, which they could be Smith or Bethel or whatever the case may be. All right. So little tidbits. So I have his information. His date of birth is 4/11, I don't know, 83. So that's invalid, and I know why it's invalid, because I have to put 1983. His occupation, accountant. If this was a someone that had passed, they were deceased, they perished, you want to make sure that I personally ask for the death certificate. And the reason why I've run into too many instances whereby someone will tell me that they died on January 1st, but the death certificate may say December 31st, or the death certificate will have another date. And if I put January 1st, this will reject. Now, you may be wondering, like, why would it reject? How does it know? When someone passes, the parent or the family members report that information to Social Security Administration. In order for SSA to close out a taxpayer's Social Security number, they must have a death certificate, and all of that information crosses and matches. And if it doesn't match in here, then if we don't put the correct information in here, when we transmit the file, it will kick out and it will reject. Okay. We get reject codes, so we typically will know. You guys, because you're new at this, you may not off top understand what all the reject codes are. They're pretty self-explanatory for the most part, but you will encounter a few where you're like, what does this mean? So we may have to look it up. A good thing to do is you could Google, like, what is reject code, what is Taxwise reject code 1011 or whatever the case may be, and it may give you what the reject code is. That will help you. Okay, so just keep that in mind. In this case, he didn't die. We want to make sure we get his email address. Some of these questions you may know, some you may not. Was he previously denied income tax credit? I know he wasn't, because I know he's never received it based on his income. So I'm going to put no. If it's a new client, I'm going to ask them, have you ever been denied earned income credit? No. So I'm going to check the box no. If they tell me yes, then I have to check the box yes. A person that was denied earned income tax credit means that they provided fraudulent information, or they provided some information to the Internal Revenue Service and they could not validate their dependents correctly to the Internal Revenue Service. Therefore, the IRS deemed them as they disallowed them for taking the credit for a certain period of time. Usually, I believe it's 4 years that they cannot take the credit because, you know, they lied. That's pretty much what it was. And they got some of the Internal Revenue's money, and so they had to pay it back. And now the IRS is saying, we are not allowing you to take this credit for a certain amount of years. All right. So let's move to the next page. And I want you guys to take some time over the next few days and play around with the mock returns that I gave you. I will know which ones are mock, and I will have to go in and delete all of the mock returns before we officially start kicking in actual returns. And I'll know because all of you guys are set up uniquely, and I'll get to that momentarily. So this person, you got to ask, don't make any assumptions. Were they in the United States more than half the year? I mean, most of the time, put it like this, for 2020 is going to be a yes. No one was traveling, pretty much. Unless they were in military and they were mandated to do some traveling. So for the most part, it's yes for 2020. If we're doing a return that's 2019 or 2018, then we can change that. And you guys see this up here, 20, where it says 20, just in case you get someone who has a return that's 2018 or 2019, all you need to do is change this number to 19, change it to 18, and you should be able to do a 2018 or 19 tax return. Okay. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Okay. So address, we're going to put in his address. And if I'm going too fast or something, just please raise your hand because I do not see. Let me lift this. Oh, here's my chat bar. Okay. So I'm going to put in his address. I'm just going to put in 123, see 123 Main Street. His zip code is 93036. He lives in the city of Oxnard, state, California. His phone number is his daytime phone is 805-983-1151. His evening is the same, 805-983-1151, and his mobile is the same. So he's probably using his mobile, so I'm going to put this for everything, okay? Oops. I'm going to move to the next page. No questions. So for identification, I set this up so that it automatically defaults to driver's license. As you can see, it's defaulted to driver's license for identification. Now, the taxpayer may have his or her passport. They may have their green card. They may have some other form of identification. And if that is the case, you want to make sure that you change this. Okay. So, and this state ID is basically what it says. Some people have just an identification. Maybe they aren't eligible to drive and whatever the case may be or whatever. But maybe a passport or something else I would check here. So if I'm using my driver's license, I'm going to, well, wait a minute. If I'm using my driver's license, I'm going to put the number in here. And then I'm going to put the state that it was actually, okay, let me back up. I got to put the C. So I'm California, so I got to put the full number. The date that it was issued. And a lot of times this where clients like to argue with you, like, why do you need all this information? And you just tell them it's information that I must key into the tax return. They will say, well, I gave you my driver's license last year. I clearly understand, Michelle, but I need it again this year. I'm required to actually look at the license or to take a look at it. Some people, they don't want to give it to you because the license may have expired 3 days before. It may be something, but I need to see the license if you don't mind. You know, and if they don't want to show you, then just ask for the issue date and the expiration date. That's what we really need to see. But of course, if they're face to face with you, you want to see ID face to face. All right. Remember what I told you guys about secret shoppers. I won't have none. But this was issued. This was issued 3/20/2019. It expires 11/05. Here it goes. Click here if this is a state without an expiration date. Some states, and I don't know which ones off the top of my head, but some states issue driver's license without expiration dates. And then it asks you what state. So I'm in California. So here you go. All right. So down here, maybe someone, oh, I'm sorry. Down here, it asked me, did I actually see the person see the client in person, or were they remote? I checked in person because that's customary, but most of us will probably be clicking this button to remote. Okay. So, and they used to did not ask that question, was the taxpayer remotely or in person, but I think they began to start seeing fraud. So they started asking that, basically kind of like, how did you receive the client's information? Okay. For the most part, this will not apply to us. It could potentially apply, but for the most part, it doesn't. Combat zone is if someone is in the military and maybe they are in a zone in which is deemed combat. And so we definitely want to check this. You would know that they are in combat zone because it's listed, if I'm not mistaken, on their W-2 form that they provide us. And you would know that they have combat pay as well because it states it on the W-2. Okay, but it's non-applicable in this case. So here we began to start going through the questions. And as you guys can see, this is pretty self-explanatory so far. We haven't gotten into anything complex, so it's pretty self-explanatory. Here, do they want to contribute to the presidential election campaign? Half the time clients don't. So I personally skip this. I have never ever run across a taxpayer that says, yes, they want to contribute $3. So I don't even ask this question anymore. I just check no all the way down and keep it pushing. But you may have that one person that may want to donate. Okay. Do they have dependents? He doesn't have any dependents, but in this case, let's just go ahead and check yes for the, just because. So it's going to bring up his dependents information or information for me to key in his dependent. I want to make sure that like I said, I have the Social Security number in front of me. I want to make sure that he's provided me or she's provided me with the correct DOB, date of birth, so that I'm keying the information incorrect. So let's key in his, let's key in the child's name. So as you saw that, I just clicked on the edit button. That's how I get to this. So you guys saw that, right? Regina, I don't see you looking. So did you see what I just did? I can't see you guys, but those that I can.
I am looking and I'm listening. I'm taking notes.
Okay, well, this is being recorded as well. So I click the button. It says edit, okay? So let's go ahead and we're going to put in the child's name. We're going to put in Regina. And let's just put last name. His last name was, I don't remember what I put the last name, but that's his last name. We're going to make sure we have the date of birth 01/01 0101, this child was born in 2020. Okay. Social Security, 3, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1. Hey, Carmelita. Okay, so relationship. It's really important that you guys pick the right relationship, okay? Because if I pick half brother, it may flag for something else. Brother, other, sister, mother. You want to make sure if I pick uncle, then it may not give him the child tax credit. Okay, so he didn't have, child was born in 20. It's not his uncle. It's his daughter or son. You know, so I'm gonna pick daughter. How many months in the year did they live with the child, or did the child live with them? Remember, my cousin, my niece, excuse me, she had a daughter on 12/30. So what am I going to pick? She only lived with, she lived, 2 days out of the year. So, and don't think that the IRS does not know this, because they have to have, they have a birth certificate. They have to go down to SSA, Social Security Administration, and request a Social Security card. They're going to know when the child was born. That information crosses with the Internal Revenue Service. So hear me out really quickly. If someone was to come to you this month within the next couple of weeks before tax season really kicks in, and we do a tax return, say for my niece, I guarantee you that Social Security information is not current in SSA's system. So it could, I'm not saying it is, but it could potentially kick out as an error because that Social Security number is not updated into the systems. You guys follow me? She had her baby just December 30th. By the time she goes to get her Social Security card, it may not be updated. So it could, and I'm not saying that it is, it could potentially create an error to say this number is not in the system, which means we would tell her basically, you may want to wait, you may want to speak with Social Security to determine when they will have this information uploaded into the system so that it reads in the IRS's system. So just keep that in mind. And that's what anyone that has had a baby towards the end of the year. It also could mean if someone passed away, COVID, it happened. But if someone passed away and they don't have the death certificate, I just thought about this. So we will be using that. We definitely will be using that code or that area where it asks for date of death. We had too many deaths in 2020, so it just dawned on me. So just make sure, it's a sensitive matter, but just make sure you ask for the death certificate and make sure the correct date is in there, okay? Also, speaking of deaths and taxes, when we get to the end of the return, I'm gonna write a note for myself. I just thought about this. When we say tax season is going to be different, tax season is going to be different because if someone is, this brought up a whole nother subject, death and taxes. I just thought of a Facebook Live to do now, death and taxes, because we have to fill out another form for individuals who have perished. And we have to make sure that we have, if it is not the spouse, if it's like maybe the mother or the administrator of the person's financial affairs, we have to have certain documentation. So I wrote a note down here to myself to make sure that, number one, either I cover this on the training with you all, or number two, I will do a video and make sure that I get a copy to all of you, because it is a subject matter that any taxpayer, all taxpayers are going to be impacted by it. Okay. All right. So enough said on that. So in this case, they was with them the full, let's just say 12 months, not 10 months. Okay. Does the child live with a parent? Does the child live with someone else? In this case, we're going to say the child lives with the parent. Okay. We need to ask all of these questions. Check if the taxpayer paid for dependent care, meaning do they have daycare credit? So in this case, I'm not going to check it. I'm not going to check it today, but if they did, write down form 2441. Okay. If someone has daycare, it's form 2441. And again, remember I said I could have went straight to forms, but I decided to go through the interview. I personally would have went to the forms, but form 2441. Okay. Does the person qualify for earned income credit? You can check yes. Just always check yes when they have children. And the reason why I say this, if they don't qualify, the system is not going to calculate. So just always check yes. Okay. Were they a U.S. citizen, a resident of U.S., Canada, Mexico? Yes. Is the individual 19 years of age, a student 24 years or younger, or are they permanently or totally disabled? And they're talking about the dependent here. So let's back up. Are they under the age of 19? That's number one. Are they a student? Meaning, are they 24 years old or younger? And then are they totally disabled? Typically, the totally disabled, I've probably only run across that a handful of times. That's what it says. A child has a disability, which, you know, the parent gets a credit for it. If they're a student, ask, well, how old is your child? But you'll know because you don't put in the date of birth. So if they're a student, we're going to just check yes, they're a student. Okay. Do you provide more than 50% child, 50% support? I just check yes, unless they tell me no, they stay with their dad and their dad pay for most of the stuff. But I already checked single up here. Oh, this is not going to fly. You guys, did you catch that? I checked single, but then I gave them some, a child. In this case, I should have checked head of household, but that's okay. We're doing a test. And they still could check. I could have still checked single, but guess what? In this same case here, you guys, if I check single, but I put that this person has a child, I am not optimizing the taxpayer's refund. Because in this case, if I was to go all the way through, guess what? This person technically probably would not get their earned income credit. And this person would be screaming at me like, something's wrong. I used to get $6,000, $7,000 back. Now I only got back $2,000. Why? Because I didn't check that he was head of household, but I put he had a kid in here. Now the system may catch it and they may ask you, should you check head of household? So just remember these little things, okay? So anyway, let's move forward. Can I claim, can the dependent be claimed by someone else? This right here, I want you guys to remember this line item, because when a minor completes a tax return, yet their parent is carrying them on their tax return, this is the button you want to check. So let's say for myself, for years, I carried my kids on my return, and maybe they were working in the 17, 18, 19, 20, 24, whatever, they were working. I still did their return, but I carried them as a dependent on my return. And so I would check this box here that my child filed a return, but I am carrying her as a dependent. So the kid, the minor, would check, yes, I can be claimed on someone else's return. If I check no, and Bob files his return, and Bob's parents files his return, guess what's going to happen? If Bob, the minor, files his return before his parents, and Bob checks the box no, when his parents go to file their return, they are going to get a reject, and that reject is going to say dependent number 2 cannot be submitted in the same tax year. So that means dependent number 2, which is Bob, he's already filed his return. So it's rejecting from the system. It's saying we can't have the same social security number file a tax return 2 years in a row or twice in a year. Okay, so just remember that. And remember, there will be a reviewer for all of your returns. So Allie, we will go through this again because I know that you and I are the reviewers. So we will be going through this again before, you'll get the hang of it, and I'll be like the backup before any returns go through. You'll be the first reviewer and I will be the second reviewer. So if you don't catch something, I damn sure should catch something, okay, before we transmit anything. So you guys, all of you who are listening to me tonight, just be assured that there's 2 reviewers before we transmit any file. Allie, who's in the corner up here, I don't know where she's at on your screen, but I know where she's at on mine. And then myself, we are the reviewers of all returns, okay? So did the dependent file a joint return in 2020? No. Let me make sure. Okay. So I'm gonna go on and go to the next. And so Regina was my only child. And so now it's asking me about my daycare credit. How much did I pay for daycare credit for Regina? Last year was COVID, so I probably didn't pay that much. Here's the deal. When someone comes to you and they have daycare credit, they should, but they don't always. They should, but they don't always. They should have form W-9, but they may not always have it. Not W-9, W-10. This is a form W-10. If my child goes to a daycare, the daycare provider is responsible for giving the parents this form. It tells me what the provider's name is, the street address, social security number, and or taxpayer identification number. It tells me that they signed it and the date. A lot of times what I typically see is maybe up in the corner, the daycare provider may write, the dollar amount that the parent paid. But this is what a form W-10 looks like. A good daycare provider issues these to their to the parents. Okay. So if you don't have this, and if they don't give you full, complete information, then you're going to have to request it. So let's just say this person paid $2,400 for the year for their child. Again, I got to key in the daycare provider's information. I'm going to click on edit to enter that in. I'm going to click in the daycare provider's name, address, social security or EIN number, etc. And I'm going to tell them that I paid $2,400. Oops, I didn't mean to hit that. ABC daycare. I'm going to go back because I'm training. I'm trying to see, are there any questions? Let me see, because I'm just moving. No questions. Okay. So I'm going to put in ABC daycare, the address, 123, city, Oxnard, state, zip, 9, whatever, 036. I'm going to put in the EIN. Most of the time, you guys will see an EIN number unless it's Sally's auntie who's taking care of the kids, and Sally doesn't have an EIN. She's only using her social security. You may get into a situation where when the taxpayer goes back to ask Sally for her social security number, Sally says she doesn't want to. So if Sally doesn't want to as the daycare provider, then guess what? We cannot include this on the tax return. If the person who's receiving the money refuses to give their social security number, this will not transmit. So we have to convey the message to the taxpayer, well, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to allow you to take the daycare credit because it will not, the return will not transmit. I must have this information in the file, otherwise it'll be deemed as an incomplete file. Okay, so they gave us something, 9-1. And just so you know, just like a 546, the Social Security has what, 546? Is that right? Yeah, a Social Security has 9 digits. That's right. So an EIN has 9 digits as well. I don't know why I didn't know that, but I had to think about that for a second. Okay. So I want to say that if the person had multiple daycare providers, in which some parents do, then you want to make sure that you enter in multiple daycare providers right here by clicking on the edit button and adding in the second daycare provider. Okay. Right here is asking me if they had any tips, rental income, Schedule K, S, Corps, et cetera, et cetera. This is where I would put all this information. In this particular case, we don't have anything like that for this particular taxpayer, so we're going to progress on. Do they have any assets? No, they don't, so we're going to move forward, but it's going to ask me. So as you can see, stock, bonds, any of that, rental property, property related to a business, we would click on these and it would take us to the appropriate form. All right. Adjustments, there's no adjustments for this guy. It's a single W-2, nothing else. No, so he doesn't have any student loans, no secondary tuition or anything like that. He didn't move. He didn't make any, well, this asks about contributions to the following types of retirement plans. Now, without knowing, if you don't know, yeah, he did contribute to a 401k plan, but we're not going to check any of these boxes just because he had a 401k plan. Most, and I'm not saying all, but like 97%, and that's my number. 97% of employees who contribute to a 401k plan are typically doing it on a pre-tax basis. So there would be no need for us to even think about it right here. And for those of you who are unclear, when I use the term pre-tax basis, and I'm gonna use this one for example, this gentleman made his taxable wages were 41,000. However, his gross wages were 42,000. So he contributed to his 401k. The reason why his taxable wages, which I told you was 40,000, was lower than his total wages is because he contributed to his 401k. And that 401k is pre-tax. Okay. So I wouldn't even answer this question. All right. So I'm gonna move forward. If I confused any of you, ask me later. Deductions. In this case for deductions, this gentleman is not itemizing, but if he was, then this is where my itemized deductions would go. Right here in this section here, this say deductions. And for deductions, for itemized deduction, it is Schedule A. And I'm giving you guys these schedules so that this here is taking me too long to do this return. I would be so impatient. I would not have gone through an interview. I would have went straight to forms. So that's why I'm trying to get you guys to, as you become more familiar with the forms and the numbers, you will go straight to the forms and eliminate the interview process. But the interview process is great and is safe if you're unfamiliar with the form numbers. Okay. So extra questions. Let's see what falls under. Did I click it? Okay, yeah. Is this person eligible for education credit, fuel credit, all of these credits that are listed here? In this case, no. Okay. First time home buyer, no, but that was in 2018. But even though, especially for your new clients who are coming to you for the very first time, where it says right here, did the taxpayer claim first time home buyer credit in 2008 and they're on a yearly installment, I still have some clients, even though it's 2021, who are still paying back the IRS when they got the credit back in 2008. So if it's a brand new client coming to you, you may want to ask, but a lot of times when we have clients that have these nuances, they will remind you. And that is also why it's important for us to ask for prior year's returns. Because if we ask for prior year's return, then we should be able to dig through and see some of these things that will stick out at us, okay? So for all of you, every single one of you that's on the Zoom tonight, you want to ask for a prior year, not only for situations like this, but you guys want to be able to do what we call a second look, to look at that tax return to determine if you find anything as the expert that was maybe omitted in the prior year, which will give you an opportunity to say, hey, Samantha, I noticed last year, whomever processed your return, they missed this, this, and this. I see we can recoup an additional $1,500, an additional $2,700 if we amend your return. Would you prefer that we amend your return and recoup some of this? Well, how much is it going to cost? Oh, it's going to cost $300. So if we take $2,700 and it's going to cost $23, they're still going to get back extra. So why wouldn't someone want to benefit from doing an amended return? So that's how you, number one, increase your revenue, and you're providing good customer service, and you're providing them with additional ways to save. Remember, we're in the business to save our clients money, to get them back as much as possible. So if you do that nice gesture to them, and it is a gesture, then they will like you. They will come back to you. They will give you a good review. They'll do all of the above. So that's another reason why we do the second look, okay? So let's move to the next section, state return. So before we even get to the state return, you guys, I'm gonna jump to the gun and I'm gonna check the return. I'm gonna check the interview, okay? And when well, let's just do this real quick. I said I was gonna check. Let's select what state. So you guys are all familiar with W-2s. And as you know, in box number 15 of a W-2, it will, let's see. Okay, so right here, 15, it'll tell us the state. Now, this gentleman right here, he had about 3 returns for, I did like 16 through 20 for this gentleman. In 1 year, he had multiple states. Now, he had multiple W-2s in multiple states, but he had 2 W-2s that had 2 different tax states on there. So as you can see in box number 15, it'll say state. His said NJ for New Jersey and CA for California. So in that case, if I'm working on one W-2, I would say he was not a full year resident because he worked in New Jersey for half of the year and then he came back to California the later part of the year. So in this case, he wasn't, but I'm just going to check that he was a full year resident. Oh, I'm sorry, I got to put the state. So I put the state, so now I want to check the return. And the only reason, what state of California is not, okay. So this is giving me an error message. And the reason why it's giving me an error message is because the state of California has not uploaded their tax documents for this season. So it's telling me that I can't, okay? But I can go through and answer the questions for state of California. But we're gonna jump this for now today, for right now, okay? But what I want for you all to do, and the reason why I'm skipping this for now, we'll go through the state, and I want you guys to go through the state, is because I want to get down here to check interview, and I want you guys to see what's going to happen. Okay, so I'm going to check the interview, and it's basically going to give me error messages. So it's telling me that some things are wrong, and it's telling me the taxpayer, let's see, on the main page, the taxpayer spouse, if married, filing. Okay, so let's go to all of these, the main page, and let's see what it's telling me. On the main information sheet, the taxpayer, the spouse, if married, filing jointly, and the practitioner's PIN must be entered. So let's go to the diagnose, and I click this button down here. I'm sorry, I don't know if you guys saw it. Okay, so I click that diagnose button, and this is where I actually want to be. If you guys see over here in this section here, everything that has a red, that means that there is an issue and we must complete it or check it or correct it before we can move forward with trying to transmit a return. So main sheet, we're on the main sheet right now, and it's telling us what's wrong. And the reason, or the way that you guys will know what's wrong, you can just skim through. You could go straight through this return just as I'm going. And you see the red, you guys see the red where it's outlined in red? Let's just go down. Everything that's in red, that's telling me what I need to fix. Right there, right there. Everything in red. And it's on this main page. And you see how it told me on the main information sheet, and it told me what was wrong. It highlighted here, main information, and it's highlighting the red. So if you guys understand that concept, just put a 1 in the chat so that I know that you're clear how to check your error messages. And that's what the purpose of why I skipped to this part, because I want you guys to, I can't even see the doggone chat. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's a lot of stuff in here. Okay, great, great, great. Okay, so in order for this red to convert to green, I need to go through this page and I need to correct everything. So let's just do that together so that you guys have an idea, like, and you're gonna always get it unless you just come to the main page originally. Like I went through the interview, I could have came to the main page and did everything. So let's just go through this main page. Oh, like, oh. Okay, there's the main page. I clicked off, and as you can see, just because it kicked in that his refund is $1,700. I haven't even keyed in his W-2, but that's his child tax credit and stuff. So let's go on down here and fix all these red items. So did the taxpayer receive insurance from Marketplace? And for those of you who are in, well, I was going to say in California, but that's not true. Anywhere that has Marketplace, we would need to ask, and a lot of times they will tell you. It's best to ask in the event that a client does not tell you, because if we check no just based on the assumption that they did not provide the information, the fallback is not on us per se because they did not provide the information. But here's where the fallback would come to us and they would blame us. We could transmit this, we could do everything that we want to because the client did not give us form 1095 A, B, or C. And that's what the form is, 1095. They didn't give it to us. So we didn't ask because we just went by what they gave us. But once we transmit this file and they have a refund of $1,700 here, what will happen is this will get all the way to the IRS. Bam. The IRS will send a letter to the client subsequently and say, we need for you to complete form 8962. We show that you have Marketplace. Guess what? They are not going to get this $1,700 until they call us and say, I got a letter from the IRS that says that I need some form done. And you're going to say, well, fax it to me. And then you're going to be like, oh, they have Marketplace. And you're going to look through their stuff and say, well, you didn't submit this to us. And then at that point, like I said, it's neither here nor there. I don't know what Marketplace is. Okay, I'll tell you about Marketplace in a second. So it's not our fault, it's their fault because they didn't give us everything, but we could avoid those types of things if we ask, you know. And my best way to put it is never assume. However, if someone is self-employed and they don't make a lot in their business, if someone has low wages, then you can ask those questions. And don't stereotype, don't assume, just ask the questions because it'll save you a headache than having the client call you back and you have to go in and do form 8962. I think that's the form. And then they got to fax it to the IRS. Then they got to wait to get their money. Now, if we did this in the top of February, they're not going to get a notice from the IRS until late. The way things are going now, it may be March. By the time they get it to us and they say we need to get this paperwork, it's going to be April. They're going to be shitting bricks, excuse my language, because they don't have their $1,700 and they're going to be mad at us. And guess what? They probably will not get their money until June, July. And I am not joking, you guys. And they are going to be hot because they are waiting on this $1,700. So if we can, best practices, do our due diligence and just ask some questions that can save the client's headache as well as just, be professionals, to save face and, customer service. That's all it is. If we know some of these things that pass through our office, then just ask, did you get Marketplace? Did you do this? Did you do that? And, as for my staff, we're going to see our clients' paperwork. I don't have the privilege of seeing everything that you guys get because I will not be seeing your paperwork, which if I was, that would be a second or four pair of eyes, some extra eyes on your paperwork to see what you're getting, to say, it looks like they might have this, you might want to ask them. And I would say, ask your clients for everything that you feel is missing in one email versus going back and forth with the client. Clients come to us, they pay us for our professionalism. And when we continue to go back and forth and play tennis with them or basketball, they do not like that because they're like, well, you're the professional. How come you didn't ask me in the first place? You knew I needed, well, unfortunately I didn't, but I'm trying to make sure that I get you back the most. So if you could please just, work with me and get me this back. So I'm just giving you guys best of all worlds. Okay. So in this case, and Regina asked the question of what is Marketplace? Marketplace, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, is when Obama put in Obamacare and those that had, we had to have insurance. Some did not have employers, so they went through Marketplace for lower premium rates, meaning some of them did not have to pay anything at all, and some had to pay a small premium. When you apply for Marketplace, you tell Marketplace how much you believe you're going to bring in income. They either pay 100% of your medical insurance or they pay a portion. At the end of the year, it's a reconciliation. If they paid you more than what you basically said you were going to be making, then you either going to owe the money back or you come a wash or, any of it. So that's why that form has to be keyed into the tax return. And that's why it's just, just ask, did you guys have Marketplace? Or another way to even avoid that conversation, seriously, and it's not 100% solid proof. If you, again, come right here to the W-2 And if you look here, DD, a code right here, it would say DD. That's an indicator that the taxpayer had medical insurance. Okay, there's codes in here. DD is definitely employer-sponsored medical care. And in that number is going to be what the employer contributed as well as what the employee contributed. So that's kind of like an indicator. Oh, they were full-time. They had a job. I'm gonna ask. But if I don't see DD, like, did you have medical? And see, last year for 2020, we were not required to have medical insurance, you all, for federal, but for state, and not every state was required to have medical insurance. So the last couple of years, if we didn't see DD, we knew that we had to ask because there was a box to check. Did you have medical insurance? Okay. Some people still have marketplace, even though it wasn't required. So we got to keep that in mind. Okay. Another thing, and these things just popping up in my brain, so I'm sorry. I need for all of you. I'm sorry. I need for every single one of you, because it's brand new and it impacts all of us that are on this Zoom tonight. I need for you guys to go right here, and I need for you, remember, you guys are self-employed. So I'm just giving you guys tidbits of information. I'm your mentor. I'm trying to coach you, but I can't tell you how to run your business and I can't tell you everything. But I do encourage you guys to make sure that you visit the Internal Revenue's website. This is a brand new credit. And I just did a a YouTube video before we hopped on at 6 o'clock about the recovery rebate credit, because checks came out and they hit everybody's direct deposit, or they come in a check for those who got the second wave of stimulus checks. Some got stimulus checks this past spring, some didn't. You need to read up on this, okay? Make note, go back and read up on recovery rebate credit. Anyone who received a stimulus check, they should have received Form 1444. 1444 told the taxpayer how much they received in stimulus, whether it was $1,200 or whether it was $600. I didn't get no stimulus check. Still ain't got one. So I didn't get Form 1444. But those that did not receive a stimulus check, they have an opportunity to recoup their credit by us as the tax preparer completing the recovery rebate credit. Now, bear in mind, not every taxpayer qualifies for the stimulus check. So if they do not qualify, then we will not be doing this recovery rebate credit, okay? So just familiarize yourself with it. It's a brand new form. I have to familiarize myself with it as well. For all of you on the call, on the Zoom tonight, I also encourage you guys, and you do have time. Now is, my CPAs know, but now is the time for us to take refresher courses. I don't know if I sent it to my partners. I know my team has it, but you all can find a free refresher course, or you may have to invest $40, $10, $25 for refresher courses. Actually, hold that thought, you guys. I think I received, one second. I received something right before we jumped online. I'm gonna forward to all of you all about a refresher course that's coming up this Friday. It was 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time by Pronto Tax Service. So I'm sure it was free, and if it's free, it's for me. So I need you guys to develop or take on that same concept. If it's free, it's for you. Jump on that free webinar where they are discussing the new credits that are going into effect this tax season. They're going to be talking about PPP. They're going to be talking about EIDL. So I think all of you who are listening tonight on this Zoom can benefit from it. Okay, I'll make sure to forward the link to you guys. And let me write myself a note because y'all know my brain be all over the place. Email webinar recovery rebate credit. Okay, all right, so enough said on that. So make sure you do some studying on this. All right, so let's fix this return. So no, they did not have marketplace at any time. No, they didn't sell, acquire, or have anything with Bitcoins. So I'm going down and I'm looking for all of the red marks here so that I can correct them. In this case, this is the reason why we asked for prior year's tax return, because it's asking us for the AIG, adjusted gross income, or some taxpayers have a PIN. For those of you who do not know where the adjusted gross income is, I want for you to familiarize yourself with a form 1040 so that you are familiar where you need to go to look for, I don't want this one. And the reason why I say I don't want this one, because I need a 2019 and I'm training you guys. Okay, so this is form 20 AIG. So that question, back to this question, it says taxpayers original AGI for 2019. Remember, I told you guys AGI is adjusted gross income. So we want to that's why we asked for last year's tax return, especially if they're not a client of ours. But here it is right here. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm trying to highlight this. Anyway, right here. This is your adjusted gross income. So B, 8B. You guys need to write that down. For tax year 2019, 1040, it's on line 8B. So I just showed you guys where it's at, 8B. So there you go. Okay, in this case, we're just gonna put a number. I don't know. Okay. Okay, so it's not red anymore. And then right here, taxpayer's PIN. Where it asks for taxpayer's PIN, you all, I always put in the last 5 digits of the taxpayer's social security number. That way, if you ever had to call into the Internal Revenue Service, and if they asked you for the taxpayer's PIN, you know what it is. They will know what it is if they had to, but they don't really ask for it. But just policy for me, that's my policy. I use the last 5 digits of their social security number. I don't remember what I put in. So in this case, I'm putting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So that turned. So now I did put this in, but now it asked me other questions. It turned red. So it's saying I authorize. They authorized me to electronically file their return. So I know, and just so you guys know, just check this. Okay. You need to put in the current date. Today is the 5th. Remember, we are clearing up all of the reds. Okay, I did not set this as a default on purpose. If I was the only one in the system for this item right here where it says third-party designee, when I have clients, I always check the box yes. And what this does, and the reason why I did not check the box, and you'll hear why. What this does is it tells the client as well as the IRS that we are designating Cosette White to call the Internal Revenue Service on our behalf for this year's tax return if there's any problems. I did not check the box as default to yes because it would default to all of us in the system. Regina's clients, I don't want to call for the IRS. Carmelita's clients, I don't want to call. Deborah's clients, I don't want to call. I don't want to call you guys clients. I may have to, but I don't want to sit on the phone and call everybody's clients. So that's not my responsibility. So I didn't check to default yes. You have to determine if you want to have that responsibility. I have it as a service to my clients because if someone calls me, if they're calling for a tax return, then I'm automatically going to call the IRS. If I check no, guess what? The IRS is going to say, well, you didn't check third-party designee, so we can't really talk to you. So that's the pros and cons, okay? So in this case, I'm checking yes, because I want to be able to call the IRS. And that would mean I have to put in my information. And that's because it's not a default. If I had default, it would automatically put your name in here. And I always put my designee PIN is 12345. My number. Okay, so I should be out of the, nope, I'm not. Let's see. I have verified, yes. I should be out of the red. Yes. So you see how main information turned green? It was red, it turned green now. That's because I went through and I cleaned up all of the errors on this particular form. Now, let's scroll all the way down to the bottom. You see this information here, prepares information. Each of you have your own sheet like this. And when you log in and you come to a tax return, all of this here is going to default to your information. That's why if you don't have a PTIN, then you will not be processing returns unless we figure out a way to put you under mine. So I must, and I know some of you have not gotten your information back. Wait a minute, how do I get here? Mistake. Okay. You must have a PTIN. My CPAs, we already know about you, but you must have a PTIN. This will identify you. When you guys log in, you'll see your information. Let's just, no, I don't want to come out. But when you all log in, you have your own template. It'll say, your name, it'll have your PTIN, and all of this will remain the same. But this is how, when we transmit to the IRS, hypothetically speaking, one of the preparers in here, we're doing some crazy stuff. How would the IRS identify, number one, what office it came from? They would identify it by this information right here. They would know by that right there. Okay? That's how they're going to identify the office. They're going to drill a little deeper and determine who in Cosette's office is producing bad returns. They're going to know right here by the PTIN, and they're going to know right here by the name. So if I got a letter from the IRS and it said we needed to come do a spot check on 15 returns, they already know my EIN or my EFIN. I'm sorry, that's not my EFIN. I'm sorry, that's my EIN. But my EFIN is tucked away in here. They would know, because your information would be in here. So we want to audit Cosette's returns. Here's the reason why. And I'll be like, God dang, what did she or he do? And so then I would call you guys and say, the IRS is auditing your files. I need these 10 files. And a lot of times, they're not going to tell me what 10 files. They would say something to the effect of, we need to spot check around 25 returns for this person. So when I shared with you all, it's important that you keep accurate backup, accurate documentation. This is why anything could happen. And this is also why I encourage you guys to use some type of system where you can maintain and house the documents. You have sufficient backup. you have them, they've completed their engagement letter stating the terms, they've provided the information in the organizer, and in there, everything states, you are providing our office with accurate information. You are responsible for the information in your return. If we suspect that something does not look right, smell right, whatever, we will ask for additional backup. But ultimately, we can make a judgment to say if we want to enter this in the return, because we have responsibility in the matter as well. Um, but that's why you guys just dot your I's and cross your T's like 10 times. Dot your I's and cross your T's. Okay? Dot your I's and cross your T's. So for those of you that are, you're self-employed, you're working on your own, but you're working under our EFIN, look into something like onboardable. For last year, I used this guy here. I used Taxaroo. And I did this comparison already, so some of you wasn't on, but I use Taxaroo, and this is what I use to upload and maintain everything. So it's totally up to you. But again, this will allow you to keep track of everything. The workflow, you can check off when something's going somewhere. It's just, you just want something to have as a backup. You guys know that I'm really big on emails. You guys run your business the way you want to, and I'm being so honest with you, but like, I don't even like this tool here, like the cell phone, and I just don't. And I'll share something. I'll share something that just happened this week, and it really hurt me, but it just happened. Like, that's why I say email is the best way to like have communication with your clients. Someone signed up for the tax software. Lord knows she was on every training. Why did she do a chargeback dispute? Now, I was doing all kind of cussing and calling her every kind of name, like whatever, but I'm like, the reason why she did a chargeback was like really crazy. And so I'm like, you guys know what saved me? What actually saved me was my email communication with her, and the fact that she jumped her ass, excuse my language, when she jumped herself on several of our Zoom calls. She asked questions on the Zoom call, and if you guys have Zoom call accounts, you know that it tracks when we log on, it tracks when we ask a question. And so she had asked questions on the Zoom, and so that's what I presented to the bank as my rebuttal to say this person lied. And so it goes back to communication, it goes back to email trail. I've shared with all of you that I've trained how email trail has saved some of my clients when they've gone before the IRS, the audits, whatever. But I've said enough. Make sure you guys have great files. Make sure you have backup, etc. So let's finish this return because it's 7:38. Okay, so we haven't even keyed it in. So let's go to the next error message. Here we go. Guess where we're at? Recovery rebate. Okay, so before I forget, I'm gonna tell all of you, wait a minute. Now, to those of you who are doing corporate returns, if you really want to make some bank, ka-ching, ka-ching, I need for you to familiarize yourself with this form. Oops, this is just the instructions. Familiarize yourself with this form. Now, this is a new form, a brand new form. But you see what it says? credits for sick leave and family leave. Now, some of you guys may not be doing corporate returns, or you may not be doing, and it doesn't have to be corporate. It could be an S corp, and it could be a LLC as well. But man, this form here is what I say is equivalent to earned income credit. You all know how when folks do the when taxpayers do the earned income credit, they get back an extra $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, not extra, but they get like nice checks back. This one here, I was playing around with it this morning, and I was just in here playing, just dropping some numbers in the system. And one of them, it gave back an extra $7,000, you know, to the tax refund, or reduce. It went both ways. So this is like gold, you guys. And just real quickly, all I can say is like really just read through it. Read through line number 2, because it talks about, let me enlarge this. I'm blind, but let me enlarge it. So you see here, you were caring for a son or daughter because the school or place of care was closed. So it's asking you, it's giving you credit, it's giving the business owner, the business credit if the employee, the employer, you know, took some time off due to COVID. The number of days taken into account for determining qualified sick leave equivalent to the amount. All I'm gonna say is let's read through it, okay? Read through it. If just read through it. I know for my CPAs on here, we do business returns, so this will impact some of our clients. So if you guys can take some time to read through it, that would be great. I don't know how many, but we do have some. At least 10 that will have this. And who knows, we can get new clients as well. Okay. So 7202, this is new. Okay. My brain gets thinking. So we're going to do this. Let's say he can't be claimed on anybody else's return. Does the tax return include a valid? Yes. So this is my first time planning this. So we're going to go through this together. Okay. The rebate or recovery rebate worksheet. Are you filing a joint return? No. Oh, okay. You cannot. Are you filing joint return? So it's telling me if I click on no, that I can't go any further. But let's see what it's telling me, because it's telling me something is wrong. Oh, okay. Remember I said everybody got form notice 1444? Here's where it's gonna ask me. It looks like everything kind of fills itself in. So when you guys get to this form, just read through it carefully. But as you can see, it filled in everything pretty much based on what I had already filled in on the tax return. So check here if there was no payment. So let's say that this person didn't get a payment at all. So he didn't get a payment. So you see what? That's why this $1,700 is here, because it's saying he didn't get a payment at all. So he's eligible for $1,700. So let's uncheck this. And let's say he did get like, let's say he got back $1,200. Wait. Check here if there was no payment at all, but there was a payment. So something isn't, oh, it did adjust. Okay. So you see, did you guys see how it calculated the math? And did you see right here where it changed the refund from 17 to 500? So that goes back to what I was saying up here. Read this, and it told me, it popped up in the return. So see, but as you can see, remember up here, I talked about form 14, notice 1444. Let me go back. And it says 1444, because everybody who got that letter from that president, who signed that letter from that president, they got form 1444. Okay. So let's just leave this like that. That's how he got his. So then it's saying we still have something wrong in this return. Let's go down and let's put some things here. So, okay, we're going to skip this for tonight. We don't need to go into this just yet, but we will spend some time on this. And this talks about the fees and how he's going to be charged. So let's just skip it. But you guys, you can either screenshot this, you can write this down, or when you look at the recording, you'll see these last three that are highlighted. They all have to do with pricing. And so we may not get to it on this one, but on the next couple of ones that we get to, we'll definitely talk about how we need to structure our pricing, because pricing will automatically be in the system and everybody will have the same rates. So whether you guys like it or not, you'll have our rates in here. If you choose not to charge your clients our rates, then you may want to consider giving them a discount. But I have the rates are in here and they're standard. Some of you guys may say they're too high. I don't know how many of you gonna say they're too low, but if y'all want to make some money, then you should go with my rates. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. So we're gonna skip these last three. But as you can see, we never put in his W-2, right? We never got to his W-2. So I want to put in his W-2. So let's go to form W. You see, okay, let me go back. Let me clear this. Did you guys catch that? I said I want to put in his form W-2. So I went right here to click on the plus, and then it popped up. I know what I'm looking for. I am looking for form W-2. So I'm going to put this in. And y'all, and I'm talking my volumes, but it tells us you probably can't see this, but this is the W-2 where my finger is. It's a W-2. Actually, let me go here. It tells us down at the bottom, form W-2. I know that I need to put in his wages, so that's what I typed in, form W-2. Oh, it didn't like me. Okay, wait, maybe not. Oh, there we go. W-2. That's what I want. So I'm gonna take his information from his W-2 and I'm just gonna start plugging, keying it in. Check if I'm gonna check this, and they're asking me to check to make sure that that's his home address. That's what I put in on the front page. Then I'm gonna put in the employer ID. Now I don't like this this here because it asks for two. Well, this is the ID. This is the EIN, the employer's EIN. So 169-109 565 5651. Company code wages. I'm just gonna put one in. Oh, it's okay. Okay. So I don't know if you all noticed, but when I put in his wages in box number one, in box number one, it automatically calculated to 3 and 5. Now, I don't take that as face value. And I could have checked right here, check to take calculations off, which it already is in there. But if I would have taken it off, it wouldn't have calculated. I cannot assume that box number 3 and 5 are correct. And they are not, because this is his pre-tax wages. This is actually his wages. So I have to come in for one. calculation entry, select the link option. Just what? Hmm. Okay, 1 second, you guys. Okay. Hmm. Okay, I don't know why it is not. Oh, wait, let me do this. Okay. Okay, so company code. Okay, some of these things like company code, it's really, really fine print on the W-2, but it is on here and it's, okay. Okay, it is on here, and rather than us to waste time, because I don't know how to correct, oh wait, here it is. Wait, oh no. I'm, oh wait, let's see, 8-4. No, it didn't. I gotta figure out what and how to correct that. So I'll rewatch this to figure it out. Control number, I don't think it's mandatory that we key this in. So let's see. State, I gotta key in his state. He's in New Jersey, NJ. 1, 2, 3. Let me put in the right number. 6109565. Okay. So, oh, he did. Okay, so let's go to this W-2, and so it's telling me I have something wrong. So what is wrong in here? Oh, the code name. I don't know what this code name is. Code name. Calculated entry. The link option, see select. Okay, I don't know what this is. And let's see. Question. Taxwise enters the name code. This information is required. Okay, I'll have to find out what that is, do a screenshot, because I'm not sure what that is, you all, but I'll get to the bottom of it. So right now, it's going to tell me that his W-2 still has an error message because this red bar right here. Okay, I don't know what it is. So let's continue to proceed. You see how EIC clicked on in the red? Technically, he does not have EIC, but the reason why EIC popped up is because I put that he had a dependent and his wages kicked in that he makes, you know, within the threshold to collect EIC. So in this case, we would go through and answer all of these questions. We got to answer all the ones in the red. Does the taxpayer have a joint? It's a yes. Was the taxpayer a non-resident? No. And I know these questions, you guys don't. So the first couple of times, go through them very carefully, because the last thing you want to do is answer anything on the earned income credit wrong, and it doesn't pick up that the taxpayer is eligible for EIC. Okay. And they'll tell you. Okay, so no. Could the taxpayer? No. So now I need to come in and answer all these questions. And Remember when I was sharing with you guys in training that it's really important to answer all the questions. Otherwise, you could be subject to a 500 and I think it's 580 now fine if you don't answer all the questions correctly. This is where we have to be extremely careful in answering all these questions. So, is either of the following true? The child was unmarried, the child is married. So is either of the following true? The child is not married. Oh, the child is, yes. Okay. Did the child live with the taxpayer for more than half the year? Yes. Do you or the taxpayer know if another person can claim this person on their tax return? Very important that you slow down and answer this correctly. So do you or the taxpayer know if another person can claim this child? Yes, we've already identified it. So we're going to put, yes, yes, we know that they can. Enter the relationship. I think we said that this was a daughter. So we're going to put daughter. Then it says, is another person claiming the child? No. And then does the qualifying child have a social security number that allows him or her to work? You definitely want to put yes. And then if you took EIC, blah, blah, it asks you again, was it disallowed? If you did not take EIC, then check no. So we're going to check no for this. And I think we should be, Corona relief. You know, this is something new. Was the taxpayers' 2019 earned income more than the 2020 earned income? And in this case, we're saying no, because we just told them. So this is new, you guys. So just make sure you rewatch this or listen. Coronavirus relief. Was the taxpayers' 2019 earned income more than their 2020 earned income due to job loss or underemployment? If yes, enter the 2019 earned income. So in this case, I'm gonna say no because I don't feel like answering it for this purposes. I'm gonna say no. But if we had to, then we would have to come down and fill out this information. I am gonna say once again, this section is new. So let's do something just for kicks and giggles. Coronavirus. What was it? Coronavirus. Coronavirus. So economic impact. Not received economic. This here was, I think, was on that form 7202. I'm looking for this specifically. What I'm going to say is let's just take some time. And it says it right here, coronavirus tax relief, coronavirus. Just take some time to read up on these new credits, you all. I will help you guys as much as possible. I'm always reading and doing something, but as you see, I just found that in doing this return with you guys. When I did it the other night with my son, this didn't pop up, probably because we didn't check that someone had a child, but we've been playing in the system. So just do your due diligence and take some courses if you can. It's a lot of freebies out there. Okay. So in this case, I checked no, so we're not going to do anything. But if it was yes, we would have to do some additional work. So it looks like the EIC turned green. 8867, I have to complete this form now, 8867, because this person has a child and this person is getting earned income credit. So I do need to complete 8867. Paid prepares due diligence checklist. Let's go all the way to the bottom where I can prove, well, it doesn't say it on here, but this is the form that I tell you guys all the time that you can get charged for if you don't fill it out correctly. I'm not going to go through the form. I want you guys to, and we've already studied this when we've gone through the course and when we've gone through the tax training. If you guys go back to the video, I think it was software video day number 3 or 4. I think it was number 4. We went into this in detail. And to my staff, I can send that to you guys as well, or you can just, read through this. But you really want to go through and answer all these questions. Did you complete based on the information? Yes, I completed this based on what the taxpayer gave me. I know all these questions, the answers to these questions. So did you satisfy the knowledge requirement? And you guys can read all this. Yes, I did. Did any information provided by the taxpayer or third party seem to be or appear to be or was inconsistent? Did it seem like it was fraudulent? If I put yes, then I got to answer these other questions. But I always check no unless something does seem suspect. Because I check no, I don't have to answer A and B. If I check yes, that something was inconsistent, it seemed kind of, out of the ordinary, I would have to answer these. Okay. Did they provide me with information that I can maintain in my file? You better check yes here, and you want to write down what they gave you. Immunization card, medical card, school record. Any of those things are valid information. What I do a lot of times, you guys, because you guys, this will save you headache, but in the organizer, this is one of the things. If you see somebody has a child, go back to them immediately. Oh, I need a copy of this for the record. They're going to ask you why. They've been going through this for the past 4 years. They're going to ask you why. Well, I need it because you have earned income credit, or I need it because you have, it tells you right here. This one has earned income credit. They also have one of these, child tax credit, or additional child tax credit, or other dependent credit. So let's recap all of those for those of you who is going over your head. Child tax credit, if they have a child or children, but in this case, a child, and they're under 17, then they're going to get the child tax credit. If they have more than one child, additional child tax credit. So if they have 2 kids, they get in both of these. If they have like their mother or somebody that they have on here as a qualified dependent, then they're going to get the other dependent care. So in this case, this person has, his income is low, so he's getting earned income credit, and he has the one daughter that I put on there, okay? So this is still probably in the red. It sure is, because I didn't finish all the questions. So what I do to CYA, cover myself, I put immunization card, so it's not taking all that, but just medical card. So here's how I work. The reason why I put all 3 is because sometimes I'm like moving so fast and I may not feel like going back through. I may have already gone through Michelle's file and I see that, oh, she gave me this, but I may not remember because I'm just doing so much. So, but I know that Michelle provided me with something and I wasn't quite sure. So to CYA, I know that I need one of these. And if I was ever audited, then I did verify that I checked one of these. So I just put all 3 of them in here. So if my file was audited for Michelle, then Yeah, I have her birth certificate. Yes. You know, I have one of them. And one of them is all that I need to cover my butt if I'm audited. Okay. So that's just what I do. If you want to put exactly what they give you, then you can. All right. So I'm still in the red though. So let me finish answering these. Um, did the taxpayer, did I ask the taxpayer whether or not they had backup to substantiate if they could take the child and collect the head of household? Yes, I did. My backup is simply, I asked them the questions in the organizer. Again, when they sign those organizers, they are stating that the information that they provide you is factual information and truth. Now, of course, through dialogue and dialogue, you're going to ask them some of these questions to kind of get a sense for they lying, that's not their child, whatever. And they start asking me like, is it okay if I take my sister's daughter? Is it okay if I take my brother's two kids because he's not filing his return last year because he was unemployed? And they tell on themselves. So you guys are working, ethically, and you have to just be straight up and be like, well, you're not supposed to be carrying them, Michelle, because did you pay more than 50% of their living arrangement? Did you provide more than 50% of their household care? Well, then no. And so this sheet here, paid preparers due diligence checklist, it's saying, did you, as the paid preparer, did you do your due diligence by asking the correct questions? The government is tired of paying money out to taxpayers for fraudulent BS, stuff like this. So to nip it in the bud, they say, well, let's not just hold the taxpayer responsible. Let's hold the tax preparer responsible for defrauding the government by not doing their due diligence and checking to determine if this is the taxpayer's child. That's the bottom line. That's what this is all about. So we're going to fine you if we come back and determine that Michelle picked up her niece and nephew and Michelle doesn't have valid proof that she was supposed to pick up her niece and nephew. So listen at this. You may check everything yes, and it may clear, and this may go through. But guess what? Michelle's sister decides that she wants to file to get her own earned income credit somehow, some way. And she decides that she's going to file a tax return. But this person already filed the return, it's gone through, it's not rejected, nothing. But her sister, on the other hand, goes to someone else, files a return. Guess what's going to happen? And you guys can take yourself off of mute because I want to hear, what do you guys think is going to happen?
She's gonna get a letter, a notification, her return is on hold.
So the sister will not be able to file her return electronically. What will happen when the sister goes in, whoever's preparing her return will get a reject, and it will say only one return for this social security number can be submitted per tax year. So that's like, well, what happened? I don't know. It looks like somebody else filed a return. Oh no, that's not what it's gonna say. That's not what
I know somebody that happened to, and it didn't complete the tax. They just said they got like a red flag or something like that, and it didn't let them complete it. I don't know if it's just different systems or how it worked, but I know it happened with someone that did the same thing.
That is absolutely correct. But what will happen is, because Michelle transmitted the return and it had those two kids in there, her niece and nephew, let's just say it had those in there, what's going to come back to me is going to say dependent 1 and dependent 2 cannot be filed in the same tax year. So that's a red flag to me, like, oh, it looks like somebody used your kids on a return already. So what will happen is, I will say, well, you're gonna have to send this information in. So when she sends that information in and the IRS finally gets it, I'm gonna tell her, when you send this in, send in your kid's social security number, send in your kid's birth certificate, and send in any immunization card, send in any information you have to support that those are your kids. Guess what's going to happen? Those are her kids. So the IRS is going to manually do her return, manually do her earned income credit. And guess what's going to happen to this return that I did? Nothing's going to happen on my end, maybe, because maybe, and I said a maybe, but they're going to disallow the earned income credit and the child tax credit for this return that I did. That this person here is going to get a letter saying we are disallowing, our records found out, yada, 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 yada. Now, truth be told, I've never had any of this happen, but I could tell you what could happen. Because I certified that I checked all of this information and I asked her the pertinent questions, I don't think so, because she gave me the documentation. I asked, I didn't suspect. So I really did ask. Now, because she told me that was her sister, now that could be but if I asked everything, I don't think the IRS would come to me, but she would be right here. She would be disallowed, or they would reduce her tax return for this year. And then when she came next year, blah, 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 blah. Now, when people have situations where the IRS snatches their EIC credit for a few years, they have to be recertified. So you see this? If someone has to be recertified, then that means that we have another form to fill out. But I'm going to say this, in all the years of doing taxes, 20 plus years, I probably have had 3, maybe 4 people that have had this occur. But that's because I run a tight ship. Other offices, I'm just being honest, they probably see it a lot frequently because I do not. In Carmelita, we had this call. I don't know if you still, looks like she's off the call. I know it's late where she's at, but we, in my office, we don't process a ton of EIC clients. But if you, in your offices, if you process a lot of EICs, then you have to be extremely careful that you abide by the rule, that you complete this form, because you don't want to be slapped with fees. It's nothing about being cute. It's nothing even about helping your client get back extra money. So what if they don't get back the amount that they want to? That's not what it's about, you guys. It really, really isn't. So what if they didn't get back an extra $4,000 because they couldn't claim? What is it to you? It's not your money. Seriously. You making your money by doing the return. You don't care you do care, but you don't care. You're not trying to get yourself in trouble. You're not trying to accumulate any fines. You're not trying to get your PTIN snatched, your EFIN snatched. You're not trying to go to jail and sit behind no bars and pay no restitution fee. You're not trying to be in the paper for being a fraudulent preparer. And if you are, then you're probably in the wrong seat tonight. But I'm just being honest with you guys. Like, don't do it. That's the bottom line. Don't do it. So make sure if you know, and Carmelita was on here and she shared with me today that she will have the bulk of her clients as EICs. So she really needs to listen to this replay on this part. And Bridget, what about you? Will you see a lot of EICs? I know you can't see, but can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have probably a lot of them. Yeah.
Okay, so
More of that than anything.
You said more than that, more than anything?
Probably, yeah.
So during tax season, are you busier in January and February or at the end of the season?
You know what? Normally at more closer to the end, but this year I think it's gonna be a lot different for some reason. I think everybody will be rushing to get their taxes done this year.
Okay, so let's all first of all, before any of our clients rush to us to get their returns done, I think that all of you need to first make sure that everybody puts the brakes on, because everybody probably don't even know what they got for on their stimulus, and they don't have that form 1444 Most people threw that form in the trash and they need to wait until the IRS sends another one. They also need to wait until they get their unemployment paperwork. In EDD, in most states will probably lag to the end of January to get those out. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So let's just,
I actually had somebody today ask me about filing their taxes like right now. I'm like, it's not gonna happen.
you can put the information in the system, but that's just about it. And
Mhm.
as you just saw, when I went on California, all the states don't even have their forms in here.
Right.
That happens every single tax year. It's nothing new. California is notorious for waiting until probably 3-4 days after the IRS says green light go in uploading their stuff. So you can tell them I can put it in the system, but I'd be very cautious about giving them a number as to what their refund is, because if you give them one number and come back and it's lower, I'm just being real honest, they don't already spent that money in their head before they got it.
Well, the thing of it is, they don't even have their W-2 yet. They
No,
wanted to do with the check stuff thing. I'm like, oh no, that's definitely not going down.
it's just a mute conversation and it's just a no.
Right. Right.
I'm happy to help you when you get, yeah, I can do it, but wait till we get the W-2.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't want to do it with the last check stuff. I kind of did explain that to them a little bit.
I can't tell you how many times I've done that for people, and I always say, you need to make sure I get the W-2 when you finally get it. And it never fails. The numbers are different. And you've been in payroll, I've been in
Mhm.
payroll, so you know how the numbers calculate different from a paycheck stub to when we finally get that W-2. So don't do it. Audrey, how about you? Are you candidate for a lot of what am I trying to say, EICs?
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay, so I I think, well, I don't recall when everybody came into the conversation, but the conversation earlier was about what are these called? Green dot prepaid visas.
Yes, I heard you when you were saying that.
Okay, Bridget, I don't think you were on.
No, I didn't hear anything about that.
Okay, so and I know I have everybody else on the call, so and it's late, but or early. For the green dot cards, the clients that have EIC, as you know, a lot of them may or may not have checking accounts. So we want to ensure that we have a way for them to get their refund, and we can do it on the green dot or check stock. So that was the conversation.
Okay.
We can have that conversation later rather than have it with everybody, but something for you to think about. I did request, and you probably want to go back and listen. I will need your name, your full address, the quantity that you need, and I think that was it. Because I will need to reach out to the bank and see if they can send these directly to you all, or if they're going to mail them to my office, and then I'll have to turn around and mail them to you guys. So Rashonda and Tamara, I'm assuming, based on assumption, you guys probably need them as well, right?
I'm not too sure. 'Cause honestly, we'll probably be doing mostly business
Okay,
tax returns.
okay,
So, I mean, it might have a few just to have on hand, but I don't foresee it being a lot.
okay. Because if we ever got to that situation, and we can have this conversation later, there's a number that, and that's why we didn't go into these last couple of red bars, but there is a number that has to be keyed into the tax software. And
Okay.
technically we don't open these, the client, without the client being in front of us, because we don't want them to think that we tampered with this. So that's that. So let's finish up this form so we can get it out of the red. Sharifa, I didn't ask you, I'm sorry. I know it's late, Sharifa, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Do you know if you'll be doing a lot of earned income credit?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay, all right. Some of you will probably play it by ear. Regina, you have any idea? Tell Ben to stop over there, Deborah.
No, I have no clue.
Okay, all right. So we'll just need to make sure that we have sufficient stock on hand. As you guys know, it doesn't really take long for the banks to send me these, but I don't want to wait to the last minute and your client is right there standing in front of you, or you're on the phone with them and you know, staring at the computer like, you know, a deer with the headlights staring at you. All right. So let's finish up form 8867, get it out of the red. Did the taxpayer have any? Nope. Oops, nope. So we should be out of the red. Yep. But we out of the red on one page. Now I got to go to the next page and certify. So have you determined? Yes. I know all these, so I'm just gonna go below the ones, guys. Not applicable. But that don't mean you guys blow through them. Have you determined? Yes. Yes. Yes, I did. Okay. So I don't have nothing else, but I do have a few more things. You see right here where I told you guys you'll be fine? You can be fine. This right here. If you have not complied with all due diligence requirements, you may have to pay a $540 penalty for each failure to comply related to a claim of an applicable credit or head of household filing status. This also goes back to, my staff have already done this, but for my partners, remember I asked you guys to complete the EIC certification on the IRS website?
Yes.
Okay, this kind of just goes hand in hand. So make sure you guys take some time to do that to the partners, okay? So I'm gonna check, yes, I validate that this is true to the best of my knowledge. The young lady that we gave an example of where she used her nieces and nephew, I interviewed, you know, I did what I'm supposed to do. I interviewed, yes, she did. I could have said no, but she gave me all the backup. You know, she said her sister gave her permission to use the kids. That was one of the questions up above. You know, so I answered it true based on what she gave me. So I'm gonna check this box. And if they get in trouble, I don't think I will. No, I'm just kidding. So as you can see, it should have turned green. It did. But this W-2 did, oh, now 1040 changed. Where's my W-2? Did I delete it? Oh no, it's still red. Okay, it's still red. But now this turned red. Oh, because I have the EIC. If you claim, if you claim child tax credit, no, I didn't. Okay. So now I'm out of the red, except for this W-2, which I cannot figure out. But as you guys can see, based on all the information that I keyed into this return thus far, it's telling me that this person has a refund of 4,000.
Sorry, girl, that was an accident. I'm actually in class right now. Sorry.
Okay. 4,600, excuse me, 6,400 and wait, $6,406. Okay. So this is telling me what he made, his adjusted gross income, computed tax. It's giving me a calculation of everything that I need. It's telling me that his EIC was this amount, $213. His payments and credit, and this payment and credit, just so we know what it is, this was due to the stimulus. He didn't get his full stimulus check, remember? And so taxes withheld from his paycheck was significantly high, $6,859, which resulted in this refund amount. Okay, so e-file status, I haven't created it, so I don't have any information on here. But once you do, it'll give you, you know, the required information here. We have not completed his California return because it's not available in the system. Okay, so had I, and it's late, if I was able to complete this W-2, then everything for the most part would be out of the red, with the exception of the bank forms. And these are all bank forms that are not out of the red. Pricing is not in here because we haven't uploaded our pricing just yet. But if it was, it would tell you what his, see these red lines? And remember, oh, this is a good example. Remember how I always tell you guys to charge by form? This popped up, everything that's red popped up, every form that we use. So it would automatically calculate everything. Only thing that's not in here is his California. And you see, remember I told you guys, every time the federal adds a form or the state adds a form, see how they added this recovery rebate? This is a brand new, oops. This is a brand new form. So I will be adding a brand new fee per sheet, per form. I'll be adding a brand new fee in here. See, California, I clicked on it, but it's nothing available, but it still tells you. And it didn't really complete everything in California because I don't know what forms I completed in California. So you see, I don't like how this is highlighting. Okay, you see, I completed one form here. It tells you how many of the forms. So if I was doing a Schedule C and I had like 5 businesses in this return, it would be 5. And if it was $300, it would be 5 times $300 would be the rate that we would be charging him or her, this person. And some of these, I'm gonna put pricing in here for everything, you guys. I price out every sheet. I even price out W-2s. If you go to H&R Block, you go to Hewitt Jackson, you go to any of those places, you will see that they price per let me see if I can do this. Let me see. What was this man's name? Okay, this tells me that this man went to H&R Block to have his tax return done. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see what I'm trying to get to, but he probably took it out. Oh no, he didn't. But it showed right here what he paid, which I don't believe he paid tax preparation. Okay, well, this is awfully low based on what he told me that's in this return. Federal refund, transfer, tax preparation fee. Maybe in Missouri, that's what it costs. Because I don't know anybody who would have charged this in California. Not for everything that's in this return. I shouldn't say that, but anyway, he's in Missouri. But I was getting ready to show you guys how they break down the fees. So that's not a good example.
Like I schedule all my social media. I schedule.
Okay, somebody's talking and we can hear you.
And so, you know, that's the only.
That was Audrey. Okay. So anyway, we'll get to the point where you guys will see the fees, how to do the disclosure and everything. It's 8:30. I know it's late for some of you guys that are in different time zones. I think Sharifa and Audrey, I know it's late. It's got to be like 10:30 Audrey and 11:30 Sharifa, and it's daytime for my staff where they're at. So any questions? And I see that there's 8, it looks like there's 8 questions in this chat. So let me see what's in here and make sure that I answer all of them. Oops. Wait a minute. What did I do with the chat? Okay, let me see. So I answered about the marketplace. It's not free, it's 97. No, Bridget, if you were talking about, and I think you were talking about Taxaroo probably.
Yes, I was. I had, well, something came through to me earlier. I'm not sure if it's the same one, but that was $97 when I actually drilled into it.
Okay, I don't know if you were on our session when I talked about Unboardable, but yeah, so you have options. Let's just put it like that. So we should put our information there. What was that? It probably was on the tax return. Thanks for the info, Bridget. It looks like Bridget probably answered it. We'll send okay. We'll send P10. Okay, so you did onboardable. Yes. Am I looking? Is it with your rates? I'm already good with your rates without looking at them. Okay. Where do I find the Tamara? Let's see. Did you find that while we were while we were in training, Tamara? EITC certificate? Tamara, you asked the question. For my team, do you guys have the website to where they can do the EITC certificate? If one of you could maybe post that in the chat, that would be great. You guys know what I'm talking about?
I found it. I'm actually doing it from my phone though. It's I guess you gotta register. I just have eitc.irs.gov. I believe that's what I'm looking at.
EITC, say that again, EITC /dot
irs.gov.
everything you need in one place. No, I don't think this is not it.
That's not what show up when I pull it up. It'll say like, welcome to the pay prepare due diligence training. And then it has login and it has register on the left side.
Okay, so it's posted in the group now under the chat.
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
so wait. Okay, right here.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, Tamara, I don't know if you can hear us, but if you look in the chat, the link is there and it's on the screen as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let me finish answering the rest of the questions. Thank you guys, I appreciate that. Wait, the question. Okay, I think that's it, Tamara, and then no, okay. Okay, so that's it, but before we conclude, are there any other questions? You guys can take yourself off of mute. If you have any other questions, if you got stuck about something, if I said something that wasn't clear, or maybe I omitted something that you have a question about, raise your hand or take yourself off of mute, or ask me to take you off of mute if you can't, and then let's have a conversation about it. Otherwise, what I'd love to see you guys do, because all of you guys have the mock test, is just play around. Take your prior year tax returns. You're going to come up with different numbers because the tax rates have changed, the standard deductions have changed, and different things have changed. But maybe pull out some of your own taxes and just play around with them. As you know, you want to be able to drive through and navigate through the system, or definitely take those mock returns that I shared with you guys and just spend some time and play on the system. When you are ready, if you have tests in there, let me know and I'll delete them before you get going with the real returns. I don't want to delete any real returns, but I'll go in and delete all of the test returns, mock returns, so that we aren't convoluted in the software there, okay? So I wanted to show you guys one more thing. I know it's late and I keep saying this, but I just want to show you one more thing. So right here, Carmelita's not on the phone. Let's see, she's not on the phone. So let's go, close. Let's just go here. It looks like I'm doing an edit, but I'm in Tamara's, I'm in her template. So as you can see, Tamara, this will automatically default to you whenever you log on and you start playing. It's going to have your information in here. As you can see, I need the P10, but that's missing. But every time you log in, this will be, all of your information will be in here. Okay. So I'm gonna save this change. I'm gonna close. She's not on the phone. Delio, same thing. When I come here,
Thank you.
all of your information is in here. We'll talk about pizza. We don't even need to talk about it, but your information is in here. Pizza.
Noted, Dr. Cassette.
Okay. I think you did answer, but Audrey, you finally got in, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so as you guys can see, your information is in here specific to you. Your PTINs will be in here specific to you once I get everybody's PTIN, et cetera. So all the templates, for you all, like when you log in, is gonna identify you. You won't be able to see anything else in the system. You will only be able to see what's designated for you specifically, nothing else.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's actually regarding the ETH, I know some people was having some issues. And this was like just asking everybody that actually applied for it. Has
Mhm.
anybody had any issues getting their EFIN number? I had did it since like in October and still haven't heard anything.
I think that's the general consensus across the board. I'm not even speaking for our partners, but even just listening to, in some of the groups on social media, that's what has been the common conversation. Like, I pray, I hope I get my EFIN, So what I do know, Audrey, is, and I'll just give you a great example. Two things. I recall sending a check in. I sent the check on May 7th. That check was not cashed until July 22nd. Okay, I sent my 2018 return in. My 2018 return is still not processed.
Oh, they're very
And
behind.
I keep getting, I've had 3 letters from the IRS asking about my 2018 return. I could not e-file for some reason. And so I have a PIN, oh, that's the other thing. If clients have PINs, the PIN is given to a client if they've had some type of identity theft. And I've had identity theft. So when I put my PIN in, it would not take. I tried time and time again. I waited to file my return. I was like, I'm just gonna send it in late. And I had to mail it in. They have not still, it is January 5th, 2021, process my 2018 return. So as I've shared with others, I still have students that have not finished the tax course. They started the process in October as well. One of them said that her fingerprints are just like they have them, but they're just, when she logs on, it just shows that it's on hold.
And that's the thing. They didn't even say they had it. It just keeps saying submitted pending doc. So when I talked to them, they act like they haven't even received anything.
So did you send it certified return receipt?
No.
Okay. So word of caution to all of you, when you send something to the IRS and the various states, my recommendation would always be to send it certified return receipt. That way you have proof, you have documentation that you mailed it, to the agencies, their word against yours.
So I probably, maybe I'm
So
gonna
do
call.
you remember the date that you sent it off? Because you should have maybe taken it to the post office and got a receipt.
It was maybe, it was in one of our Zooms because I remember we were talking about it. So whatever that day, I know it was in October, maybe like October 26th or something like that. It was the end of October I sent it.
Okay, well, I do have someone that sent theirs like October 5th and they still don't have it as well.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna go around the Zoom room. I'm gonna start with you, Kirby, since you're up top. Do you have any questions? Is everything, what questions do you have, or do you have any?
None for the moment, ma'am, but I'm just waiting for your clarification on the name code on the W2.
Oh, okay, okay, got it, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Armaine,
No questions po.
no questions? Okay, Deborah? Nothing? Ally?
No questions.
Dale?
No question.
Gina? She must got off. Sharifa?
No questions.
Rashonda?
No questions.
Tamara?
No questions.
Tamara?
No questions.
Audrey? Okay, Audrey, I can't hear.
Sorry, I had did something else. No question.
Okay, and Bridget?
No, no questions.
Okay, while you guys are all here and everyone's not here, we do resume again next Tuesday to go through more training. Ally, if you can raise your hand so that everybody can see your name. But Ally is the reviewer and I am the reviewer, so we will be the ones reviewing your income tax returns. I will put some structure and policies in place so that everyone is aware of the times that we are in the office. I do realize that some of you may be working late nights, after hours when you get in from, your regular daytime job. But just so that we have some structure to all of this, I will be sending out, some do's and don'ts, so to speak. And one thing I want to stress to all of you is that when it comes to your password and your log on, if you can please just make sure that you log your password somewhere so that you don't forget it and you're not constantly waiting on me to get into the office to reset your password. So if you all could please just do me that favor and just jot it down. As if you can imagine, I have 20 preparers on one Ethan, and they're all not here tonight, but 20 preparers on one Ethan. So that would help us in the office streamline some things and just, make it more efficient. You won't be frustrated because you can't log in and you told a client you have something to them in the morning, you stayed up after work, you know how it goes. So just if you could just work together as a team, as partners, and make sure that we are working together. If you all find yourself in a pickle and maybe you're stuck on a return and you need some assistance, just keep in mind that I do have office hours. There are times where I do shut down and go to bed, although it may not seem like it, but I do. And I sent to everyone, I sent you guys a list of the office hours as to when I'm open and when I'm closed. I will, let's say this, I will allow some leeway with the partners and of course my team, but the partners as far as when I'll be in the office and when I won't. But I have to have some structure, and I hope that you guys have structure with your clients. Otherwise, your clients will run you ragged and just call you any and every time. You guys know I work from home, so there are mornings when my phone rings at 5:17 in the morning from a client and they will say, I forgot you in California. I'm like, Lord. So I do unplug my phone a lot of the times during tax season when I head off to bed, knowing that I work from home and just to allow me that, that peace of mind. And I'll turn it on when I come back in here. So let's just, work together and make sure we all have a successful tax season. You guys came in at a time where a lot of changes came into effect, all because of COVID. And so as a result, we will see it. It will be very rewarding for all of you guys that are on the Zoom tonight. Rewarding in a lot of ways, not just monetary, but learning. And for my partners, I will say this, and I think some of you have already experienced because you've had sidebar conversations with me, but this is an opportunity for you to not just focus 100% on taxes, but now is the opportunity. Now is an opportunity for you guys to, take advantage of some of the other revenue streams that are available to us and that is the PPP as well as the EIDL. You know, second stream is opening at the end of this week, or no. I think on the 13th. But whatever the case, don't just rely, learn your taxes, definitely learn your taxes, but keep your options available for other opportunities is where I'm going with it. Keep your options available, and just know that make the best of this. You guys are starting a new journey. You're starting something new to our new tax preparers, and start off on the right foot, and you will see that this can be a very flourishing, a very lucrative business. And I just want to say, I wish all of you much success this tax season. You guys know that I'm here for you. I'm not going to let the ball totally drop, but I may not be able to answer everybody's question at the same time or when they want me to, but I will make sure that you guys succeed, because if you succeed, I succeed. And so that's my motto. I truly believe in making sure that I empower, making sure that I empower, inspire, and educate. So that's my last word for tonight, because it is 8:45 and some of y'all probably ready to go to bed. So I know I'm gonna hear from Regina tomorrow that I talk too much. So that's it. I will see you guys next Tuesday. I will look into the error message curvy, and for all of you guys, and make sure that I find out what that is. You guys, hopefully you've jotted down 7202, all the different forms, the credits, and you take some time to review them. I will be taking some courses, and I will pass on the knowledge to you guys, what I learned. Okay? You guys have a good rest of the day, good rest of the evening, and I will talk to you all later. Okay? Thanks. And I will send out this recording. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Rita.
You.
Okay, bye.
Oh, okay.
When we submit questions to you,
Uh-huh.
all of the partners,
Mhm.
can you, if you have the capacity, can you have your staff put together a frequently asked questions list? So like I might ask you something, then somebody else might ask you. So you know what I mean?
Mhm. And
If you
And
could.
just so you guys know, and I'll probably, Allie and I will put something together, because if I'm not available, Allie may be available. And just so you guys know, Allie, they're totally on a different time zone than us. It's daytime where they're at. So she may be up tonight working. I may be gone somewhere. So that will give you guys an opportunity to work and talk with both of us, okay? All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much. I'll get this recording off to all of you. Have a great one.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
You.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.